Welcome to Married AF. We are your hosts, Brooke and Randall Fowler. On this show, we discuss the topics that really matter.
Like big veiny cocks and our favorite TV shows.
So pull up a chair at our kitchen table and hang out.
While I bulldog my nuts. Hello.
You looked at me like...
I always wait for you to go, and you always wait for me instead. And I can't take the silence like you can, so I always end up starting the show. People think I'm big boying you and start it. It's because you won't do it.
I just like the cat and mouse we play with, like, huh? You, me, you,
Well,
me.
we got the great Rachel Miller back.
Hello.
And this is, like I always say, a special episode, but this one is different. Because we did an episode with Rachel, what was it, 2 weeks ago? When we kicked off Domestic Violence Awareness Month, which was a great episode.
Yeah.
We decided to have her, like, our scheduled time with her because we got to. But we opened it up for any kind of question for Rachel, is what we said.
Just anything under the sun.
I don't remember signing up for this, but okay.
I don't remember that either, Rachel. I don't.
I'll be honest. I haven't listened back. I think what we decided was any of her genres, like, you know how we've been breaking up.
Yeah, I don't.
Right.
And I think
I thought we were going to go use like old questions we hadn't gotten to.
Yeah.
And then somehow it turned into this free for all, like I'm on the hot seat thing. I don't know how that happened.
I blame me. I'll be honest.
Okay,
Well,
I'll definitely blame you.
I got the first truckload of these questions, and they were just so funny. And they're good because it's, you know, you can see that the people want to ask her stuff also that's, you know, different outside of the normal stuff, which means they love her. You know?
Folks want to get into the brain of Rachel Miller.
Yeah. And
It's a scary, scary place. I'm not sure you want to go there.
I'll bring my galoshes.
but
There you go.
I want to do a couple of housekeeping things before we get rolling. Want to thank our sponsors up front because sometimes I forget. Who do we got? We got Bio Bidet.
You just gave me like a thumbs up. I don't know what that
Because the Bio Bidet is excellent.
Oh, yes, it is. That thing. We have clean butts in this house.
Yep. Bio Bidet. We got Muscle Vodka, which is amazing.
Which is part of our shots that we'll do in a minute.
And Spunk Lube, of course.
For all your personal lubricant needs, folks.
Yeah.
Shit's great.
Grease up your wiener or butthole or anything that you're playing with. I mean, I think Rachel would agree. Lubricant is essential sometimes for safety.
I think lubricant's essential most of the time.
It changed our world.
It's a safety issue. It is an OSHA regulation.
It's an OSHA. Just like hard hats.
I don't know if I go that far.
Latex gloves and Spunk Lube.
Yeah, but Rachel, we've got a contest going right now. I don't know if you've seen it, where everybody can submit their best shit myself story or nearly shit myself story, and the winner is going to get a free bidet from Bio Bidet, a slim edge like we got.
Wow, I'm wondering if Tom must not be aware of this this contest going on, because this sounds like something he would be all about.
Right up his alley. We'll need to make sure
He
he's
is
aware.
eligible. He is totally eligible, and I hope he wins.
Now I'm worried.
I would love to present Tom with a slim edge Bio Bidet.
I'm sure he's got a great story.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Tom's a rascal. I love him, man.
Anybody that drinks that much Kentucky bourbon,
he knows his shit about his liquors for sure.
I feel like might
Yes,
have a story.
He's quite the connoisseur. Yeah, we can't, you know.
Well,
A
let's.
couple years ago, that was like the thing. He decided he was going to get into bourbon and whiskeys, and so he spent a lot of time on that. Like, that was the Christmas, I think I pretty much, like, everything I bought was all bar related. I'm like, we look like we have a liquor problem.
Well, speaking of, let's do our horrible. The shot tonight is a Bloody Mary shot.
Did you put
I
Tony's,
put
and hot
Tony's
sauce?
and hot sauce into this for you. I might throw up.
You don't like Bloody Marys, Rachel?
Ew, no.
Oh, she's
that's
a
so
good
gross.
person.
You and Tom can drink those.
Oh, I love them. Okay.
Say a prayer for me, Rachel.
All right.
I'm
Cheers, baby.
All right, 1, 2, 3. Oh my!
Randall.
I knew it.
Oh, please. You put a lot of hot sauce in that, babe.
He's over there like choking, and Brooke's like, "It's all good."
I can't do the second one.
Well, I'm not doing 3. I have to work tomorrow.
You have to do them. Or John, our dog, can do.
There's another one over here.
I thought I might somewhat be. I can't tolerate it. I gagged. It's the tomato soupiness of it.
You like?
Oh, see, that's why
You like tomato
Ew.
soup,
It's too thick for a drink, though.
Yes.
but you drink smoothies,
I
milkshakes.
wish I could tell you that it's weird.
I know. There's some shit you can't explain.
No, it's the. I also don't want spicy drinks.
That's
I
what
can handle the spices.
a lot of people
actually.
have problem with that. They're like this because like when you get a real good Bloody Mary and it's got like okra and
Right,
like all
what
kind
is
of
that?
It's like a meal.
Well, you didn't even
It
flinch.
grosses me out.
What was your thought of that shot?
It was good.
Yeah, you didn't even flinch.
No, 'cause
No, she didn't cringe or anything.
No.
Like you heard no response from her.
it was delicious. There's a lot of hot sauce. I could taste the Louisiana hot sauce and the Tony's.
That's her wheelhouse. So
Yeah.
I teed you up tonight for that.
I know. Mm-mm-mm.
Oh, goodness gracious,
so-
that's rough. And the other thing I wanted to mention before we get rolling, the poll for Wave 1 of our Guest of the Year is out. And it is Jody B. from Po' Boys Podcast versus Amanda from Blunt Mommy versus Drinks with Larry.
Yep.
Those 3 are squaring
That's
off.
bracket 1.
You got 5 days to vote for them. The poll is up on Twitter. After 5 days, that winner will advance. The next round will be Richard Tillman, Kristen Beck, and Sharon Hill.
Okay.
Those 3 will be Wave 2. Each winner advances. Once we get the winners of each bracket, the next portion of the vote will be mine and your vote.
Uh-huh.
And then the other third will be the number of downloads.
Okay, yeah, you didn't go, but we still have to go through more guests.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
each winner of the bracket.
Yep. And then Rachel's our third co-host, so she's
Yeah, she gets her own. We're giving
She's
her
got
her own year-end
Oh,
thing.
you guys are cute. So you pulled me out of the running of that one, huh?
It wouldn't be
You'll
fair.
get your
You'd slaughter them.
yeah.
No, I'm on too much. You can't complain.
Well, and
Totally
the
not fair.
downloads, you would destroy them. I mean,
Yeah.
Right.
Are you going to say anything about the other thing? That,
oh yes, we are. I'm just gonna say a little bit. We are on now.
we are
You can say it.
well, you're saying we're just on it, but we have partnered with Drinks with Larry to create our own podcast network, across the board podcast network. Right now, it's just the two of us, like the 2 podcasts, Drinks with Larry and us.
Yep. And that's really as far as we've gotten with it right now. But we couldn't be more happy to partner with anybody than those folks. We love them. They're the shit.
Congratulations, you guys. I knew that was in the works, but I hadn't heard you'd finalized it all up. Nice job.
Yeah, we're.
I just heard about it at dinner.
Yeah, she's been behind the scene, and she's heard about it more than dinner. She just got the details tonight.
No, well, you said we're going to announce it tonight on the podcast, and I was like, how? We haven't done anything. And then he broke it down that there's a name.
Yeah,
there's
me and Larry have
There's
been,
something to announce. It's all good.
right. Yeah. And yeah. So
yeah, we've been working on it.
you need some
behind
lotion
the
on that
scenes.
tattoo, baby.
And so we're thrilled about it. No, I'm sure there'll be more coming with that, but
Don't touch buttons.
the goal of we just want to support indie podcasts and cross promote like crazy, market like crazy, get exposure for any of the shows that are on the network, and so should be fun. Something
cool.
new.
No.
All right, well that should cover the housekeeping. I say we dive into the questions, and I'm going to let you pick first. No peeking.
Well, okay. They're all different sizes.
Yeah, because I just printed them into a Word document and cut them up.
So there's no mixing up of the numbers this week.
No,
No.
there's no numbers. I think there's
There's
literally
no-
like 40 questions.
Yeah,
in
there's
there.
no, all right, we're going to number 7, then 4. Then, yeah. All right. Here's the first question. And you know who these are from, but I don't, I
Most
guess.
of them.
Okay. I noticed you didn't take your husband's name. Is it professional, personal, or because it's McFeely? Sorry, Tom. What's wrong with McFeely?
Well, I mean, okay. So for starters, the reason I kept my last name is multi-layered. It is my children's last name for starters. Secondly, I had already sort of established a lot of my writing persona through that last name, and I didn't really want to mix all of that. And so ultimately the decision was sort of around that was my professional persona. And then, yes, there is the whole, like, was I really going to eventually become the certified sex therapist whose last name was McFeely?
That's awesome, though.
Yeah.
It would be.
Or what if your daughter, took on his life? Because then she'd be like McLaren McFeely.
Right. Like, these are things that are just not happening. But what's funny is a lot of people feel some sort of way about it. Like, people are like, what is it? Partially because it's like my ex-husband's last name. And I'm like, but it was my name longer than my maiden name was my name. I got married at 20. I didn't get married the second time until I was 40, 43, 42. And so I was Rachel Miller for a really long time. That's who I was. It's my name. It's not his name or even
you
my
don't
kid.
associate it with him anymore. That's fair. I mean, yeah.
And that's the thing. Like, if you look up, my domestic violence work, it's all under Rachel D. Miller. If you look up like anything that I've written prior to grad school, stuff's all like it's out there with that name. And I didn't really want to have to try to link it all together. And I'll be really honest, I didn't want to do the damn paperwork.
Oh,
that's a nightmare.
Honestly though, you
got lucky.
I was like dreading it, and I took off like a whole day of work after Randall and I got married. And because honestly, like, I was so nervous because my Social Security card was still in my name, my first marriage. So I was able to change everything. When I got divorced the first time, I was able to change everything back to my maiden name, except for my Social Security card. Because whatever happened in like the 2 years I was married the first time made shit way more strict on changing back and so like I just never got around to it. And so like, I was all super nervous about going in there, and it took like 10 minutes. It was like not even that big of a deal. I know.
It was just like, it was all this hassle stuff. Like when Tom and I got married, it was just as I was finishing up my master's degree. So I sort of had to like make a decision, because I was like, if I put my degree in my current name, then that's it. Like, that's the end of the deal. And Tom does not care. Like, he is not that man who cares at all. He's like, I don't care what you do. I was like, no, really, you should have an opinion about this. Like, if you have an opinion, you should tell me, because I'll take it into consideration. He's like, it's your name. Keep your name. I don't care. Do whatever you want to do with your name. And I'm like,
and if it's your,
that's the right move. And that's why Tom's a cool dude, because who gives a shit? I mean, really,
right.
At the end of the day.
And the thing is in the Midwest, it's way more, like, I get really funny looks from,
try doing it in the South.
Midwesterners in general, because it's more traditional stuff, right? Mm-hmm. But, not every culture has women changing their last name. And so, a friend of mine is, she and her family are from Lebanon, and she's like, we don't ever change our last names. Like, we don't do that. We keep our names. I'm like, okay. See, she's like, Rachel, why are you making this a thing? I'm like, I don't know. I feel like I'm supposed to make it a thing. Like, she's like, no, that's just silly. Keep your name. Like, it's just your name. I'm like, thank you. That actually is helpful.
Yeah. You know what's weird is until this question came over, I'd never even thought of that with Rachel and Tom.
It hadn't even really crossed my mind either. I thought that maybe it was like, like all your professional stuff, like it was your outward last name. But I thought maybe like you had it like, on a personal level, like for your checking account or whatever. Because I know people that do that where they're like their outward last name, and they didn't want to deal with changing it at work and changing it everywhere else, but they did change it in their personal life. But yeah, but
ultimately it's my name. Like, I've been Rachel Miller for a pretty damn long time, and it's a really simple, straightforward, easy name. It makes my life simple. And my maiden name is a Dutch last name, and it's spelled really funky, and people screw it up all the time. And I'm like, no, Miller's really straightforward.
You're like,
and
I'll
easy.
take it.
I'll keep that one. It's totally fine by me. So yes, big, long, whatever that's just mostly professional reasons, and it's just easier.
And Dr.
I'm all for
McFeely.
less-
I kind of wish you were going to be Dr. McFeely.
So there are people who are like, would you ever like change it if you did strictly sex therapy? Like, it's a built-in marketing tool.
I know.
It's a huge Twitter handle and marketing tool.
Right?
Oh, gosh. I love it.
Well, check this.
So maybe then.
All right. So this one, well, maybe Rachel can weigh in. I don't really have an answer, but it's kind of true. Can you explain why? Sorry about that. Can you explain why in college it was impossible to not get a blowjob and you had to work a little more for sex, and immediately after college that was reversed?
Well, that's an interesting question.
I never thought about that, but that is kind of true.
Well, there's this interesting sort of shift that I think
Yeah, older
I don't
women
necessarily
don't like
know
to suck
that
the
was
dong.
true years ago. Like, right? I mean, but if we think about it from this whole crap construct of virginity, the reason you could get a blowjob is because, girls were still trying to say they didn't have sex.
Boom. Totally logical.
Like-
I didn't think of that either. That's why.
Like that was the thing. What was the prize? What was the quote unquote prized possession for, thousands of years was women's virginity. Well, I can give you a blowjob. That doesn't mean I'm not a virgin.
Yep. I haven't been deflowered if I only sucked on your dong.
I'm still pure.
Yeah. It's complete crap. I mean, the whole, virginity
Absolutely.
thing is a load of shit. But yeah, that's the baseline for it. And then once women are having sex, they're like, well, why the hell do I need to give you a blowjob? That like hurts my neck and I'm tired and it's boring. And if you're not paying any attention to me, then I'm not turned on and I'm done.
Sure. And it's a big old meaty, flaccid, or not flaccid, but hopefully not flaccid, but a big meat stick in your mouth. That's not the...
And this is not to say by any stretch of the imagination that there are not women who love giving blowjobs. I know those women. Those women are like, I don't understand women who don't do it. But if you're telling me that the women that the listeners dealing with have this aversion to giving a blowjob, that's typically the excuses that I hear. Like, really? No, I don't want to do that. Like, can't we just have sex? Isn't it like, can't we just like have sex?
Well,
That
and
would be
sex
great.
is usually faster too.
Then there's that piece.
Yeah, I'm
So
telling
that's the simple answer.
I'm telling y'all, Blunt Mommy's running away with this damn thing.
Okay, quit looking at your phone.
The Boner Bros, serious. All right, what's the next one, babe?
We already talked about this ad nauseum
Well,
on
then
one
draw
of the.
another one. We got 1,000,000. So
Yeah,
if we've covered it before, toss it out. We'll never get to all these.
All right. You grew up in a small Indiana town and still live in one, both with interesting histories. Why do you choose to work in Chicago?
First off, this is a stalker of
This
yours.
is a very, I mean, like, yeah, wow.
Someone loves you. Too much.
Is this from Tom?
Tom knows why I still live here. A huge portion of this has to do with my children and allowing my children to stay in the school the school system they've been in their whole lives. That was kind of part of the deal. But I go to school downtown in Chicago, and working downtown makes more sense. Also, I make more money downtown than I do in Indiana. So, and because my school was in Illinois, I went ahead and just did I'm working on my licensure in Illinois. I could potentially do both states. But yeah, no. And I probably won't be staying in Indiana once, both my
I
kids
thought
are
you
out of
lived in
school.
Illinois.
No.
No, I literally live right across the border.
Chicago
Like,
borders
I'm
like
just-
3 states, I feel like, because there's like Wisconsin
It
right
does,
there
yeah.
and Indiana.
Yeah, Michigan, Indiana, and Wisconsin are all pretty close. Like, we're all within an hour to 2-3 hours, depending.
Are you
know.
considering Chicago a state, babe?
No. But I meant Chicago.
You meant Illinois.
can easily get to Chicago
Yeah.
from like 3
I know.
different states.
I'm just,
That's what I meant.
Yeah.
I'm just ribbing you. I'm just giving you shit, baby. You gonna take it.
But yeah, I mean, there's there's definitely more
Get your own
private
damn beer
practice
next time.
opportunities in Chicago, schools downtown. So like there are days I've got class in the morning, I see clients at night. So it's easier for me just to, to stay in the city, and we won't stay in Indiana forever. I made Tom a promise a long time ago that he wouldn't be stuck here forever.
Yeah. Where's he from?
He's from the East Coast. He's from, right outside of New York City in Connecticut.
Oh, okay.
Very cool.
So,
Well,
he was not sure what he got himself into when he came.
Well, here's a doozy for you, and a long one. Do you watch porn?
All right.
This is interesting to me because I would think that, they must not have stalked too badly, because I talk about this pretty regularly. When I used to sell sex toys, porn was one of those things that I would very often recommend to couples whose sex lives were struggling. I have no opposition to porn. I wouldn't say I watch it regularly, mostly because I just don't have time for that. But can I say I never watch it? No. Am I particular about what I watch? Absolutely. There's a reason after we did that episode, what was that, last month that we did that one? Why I posted the stuff on ethical porn, women-directed porn, women-written porn. I'm much more prone to go that route because I don't have any objection to it, but I want to know that what I'm watching, actors were well paid. It's a well-written script. It was ethically made. I'm not worried about if it's involving any sort of sex trafficking. So I feel better about consuming it. I'm particular about where I watch it and what I watch and where I get it.
You're not going to Pornhub or YouPorn.
No.
Yeah.
No. No. Yeah. And I'll pay for porn if I'm going to watch it, because the problem is when nobody's willing to pay for porn, that's when we end up with really crappy, awful stuff happening. Mm-hmm. So you need to pay for it. It's a service. You should pay for it. And, I don't know. I don't have the moral objections to porn that a lot of people do. I don't believe that the research really backs up this idea that porn is detrimental to relationships. I know lots of people who've really used it to enhance their sex lives. So I don't have that same hang up around it.
No, you just don't want to contribute to sex trafficking.
Yes.
Shit like that. And I mean, I think where it gets out of hand for some people is if they if they have an issue in their marriage, they haven't identified it, and they just kind of replace it with porn, and then kind of lose we heard about
use
the guy.
Use it as like a crutch or yeah.
Other than that, there's no problem with it. Shit.
No.
I mean, and it definitely is something that it's something you can actually do together. I know it's very often thrown in this world of it's a thing men do. There's a lot more women watching porn than people talk about. And let's remember, erotica and, romance novels and all that stuff, that's mostly a women audience.
Yeah.
And so the idea that women wouldn't watch porn is just ridiculous.
Danielle
we just
Steele.
usually want more of a storyline with it.
Yeah. I remember looking at the covers. My mom had a bunch of Danielle Steele books, and the covers of them, I'd be like, "Good gracious, what is happening here on a horse?" And
when Fabio used to be on all those covers, right?
Yes.
Now that I dated myself.
Well, me too. I mean, and I would open up a page and just read one and be like, "What is that? What is happening? It's throbbing who?"
Right.
There was so much descriptive language that I did not understand as a child.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes Tom will pick up one of my trashy romances, and he'll start to read. He'll be like, "Should I read this out loud?" I'm like, "Please don't. You're gonna ruin what was happening in my head. Please don't ruin it."
Because then you would hear it in his voice.
They're hilarious when you read them out loud.
Oh, it's so bad.
Yeah, don't ever do that.
Yeah, don't do that.
Don't get it on audiobook.
Right.
All right, here's the next one. What's your earliest childhood memory?
I
don't even know if I know.
Somebody's diving deep, but that's a weird question.
I know it is.
I want to know what you started with.
I think one of my earliest memories, really, they're mostly around pets, and it's not full-blown memories. It's I remembered moments of my earliest pets. We used to have a black cat when I was super small, and then we had a black lab for a while, and And then the one I remember most was like a tricolor collie, but most of my earliest memories are like moments with my pets. Or then there's like traumatic parenting memories, but I won't throw my parents under the bus. So.
Yeah.
But like, if I think about just like memories of things, yeah, I remember it's mostly pet related, which doesn't shock me.
No.
Considering how many I have now.
Not a bit.
Yeah, my first memory is of me breaking my nose playing football in the yard with my brother, and this was in Rock Hill, South Carolina.
Wait, how old were you?
I don't know. Let me finish. I'm got to be somewhere around 6 or something.
You should have a memory earlier than that.
That's the first one I can recall. I think about it all the time. Like, it's the first one I can remember far back. And we were playing football in the yard, and we had a bunch of pine trees. And I was running a route and ran straight into a tree.
Oh, that sounds like Gunner.
Oh, I've done that too, but I didn't break
first.
my nose.
Yeah.
Holy
And
cow.
I remember it.
Wow.
Yeah, I was probably 5 or 6.
Yeah, mine's from when I was like 3 when I went to the emergency room because I was fucking playing around on like a folding chair and it folded up and on my lip, like right above my lip. Yeah, so like it completely busted open my top lip, and my parents had to rush me to the emergency room. And I remember, when you're like that little, they have to strap you down to give you stitches.
Right.
And so it was a very traumatic. I remember being on the little, laying on the thing, where they had to put me in this like straight jacket thing on like a board to put me on the table, and I could like see my mom like outside the room looking at me.
That's why you remember it, because it was so traumatic.
Awful. Yeah. Like I remember being in the back seat. Like I think my sister was like kind of holding me in the back seat. Like, cause I remember laying down and I could see like the street lights passing, like when we're going to the hospital. And then the next memory is like laying on that thing, like strapped down.
Yeah. Do you think
I was like 3. I still have a scar from that. And I was like 3, I think, or 4.
This is a great time to ask you this question, Rachel, because we've never therapized this. But I was hit by a car when I was, 8?
Uh-huh.
I was 8. So I got smoked by a car. I ran out in front of it. I don't know if you've heard that story before, but
No.
I can remember it vividly. I'd run across the street. We were at the pool in our apartment complex, and I ran across the street to get a quarter from my dad's friend who had an apartment right across the road from the pool. So I went and got it, was running back, didn't even look at the traffic, ran straight into a car. It was a girl that was taking her driver's license test. And
oh no!
I ran it. It was my fault, not hers at all. And I ran into her. She ran over my foot, and that kind of drug me under. And my head hit the passenger rear view mirror and knocked it off. And it flew in the car and hit the instructor. The side mirror went in, and it threw me across the road. But I remember, I have a memory of me seeing it from above it, like they do in movies of you leave your, I don't believe it's all that, but I can see the picture from above of my dad running from our apartment to there because it wasn't far. My mom all pregnant with D, smoking and running to
Stop
check
it.
to find me. And
She said she quit smoking when she was pregnant with D.
it's so weird, but is there any validity to that? What is that?
Well, I think what happens is that our memories, our memories are not perfect, right? We make sense of things as children in ways that may not always be, because the memory is probably a composite memory of what you remember, what other people told you, and then how you made sense of all of what happened. And so it very well may not. It could be. I mean, I wouldn't say if you were completely knocked unconscious. I mean, lots of people have those memories, right? Where you actually see things from above. But it's also very possible that it's just sort of the way you've made sense of all of the memories about it that people have given you over time.
Sure.
I have a memory of, I think it was my first, the day before I was going to kindergarten, and there were 2 kids riding their bikes with their heads down, not watching where they were going, and they hit an elderly woman right in front of our house, and the ambulance was there. If I remember correctly, she passed away, but I'm not positive about that. But I remember that whole memory being super, like, vivid in my head.
Jesus.
And remembering things that I'm not sure I actually saw. Like, I'm
But
pretty
over
sure
the
my
years,
parents were
as you
probably
heard
like,
the
Rachel,
story.
go back to bed.
Yeah.
Like, you're not standing out here. Like, I remember looking out the window, but for some reason, I have an image of the elderly woman laying on the ground, and they're like being blooded, like underneath her head. But I'm like, I don't know that my parents would have let me get that close to see that. Like,
yeah, that's how I feel. That's exactly how I feel about it. Like, I'm like, I can't really wrap my head around, but it's so true. That is my most vivid memory. Me being hit by a car, more than what happened yesterday. Because I don't remember much, but that.
But
like, I remember
traumatic memories get locked. Like, they get locked very clearly.
It's crazy.
For decades.
All right, so this is deep, and I don't know why they sent this to Rachel, but who's more country, Jody or Randall? And I'm sure they're talking about Jody B from Po Boys podcast.
I'm assuming they're talking.
Yeah.
So, here's the thing about that. I'm not going to make that judgment until I'm actually on Jody's podcast, because then I might have a better sense for that one.
That's fair.
So I'll answer that one after I tape with Jody.
I mean,
Sunday.
I can't wait for that episode, by the way. Both of us are foaming at the mouth.
I
I
know.
loved your Miles and Crawford, by the way, in all of its
it was great.
all of its glory. I thought that podcast had more piss and vinegar than most that you ever hear. And I celebrate that no matter who it is, whether
That
it's
was a-
men, women. The piss and vinegar was palpable.
Yeah.
We were both that night, like, I think it was so fresh off of the Kavanaugh hearings from that Thursday. And we'd both had just some instances where we were just angry. And it wasn't just Miles and I. Like, I'd been running into it, across the board with friends, with colleagues, with like so many like women who just had nowhere to go with the stuff we were feeling. And Miles and I were just like, let it all out. I think we both thought, at least I thought, she was going to edit some of that, and then she didn't.
Yeah. All in.
Yep.
It's all there. But the truth is there isn't anything that I said on there that I don't say on the regular.
No, there wasn't. I wasn't surprised by any of it.
It's pretty much me. It's just maybe a little bit less of a filter than normal. And that in that situation allowed for, a more political angle on the conversation. And I'd love to say that I'm a neutral therapist. Clearly I'm not neutral. If you look at my Twitter page, I am not a neutral person. You read my Psychology Today profile, that I'm pretty left-leaning right off the bat. I don't make any apologies for it. I put it out there so you can make an educated decision about whether or not I'm a therapist you want to see. You should know these things about me ahead of time. But we had so much fun, and it was a good outlet for me, and I think for her, and I'll probably jump on with them again sometime soon.
They would love it, and I know how much they love you, and we love both of them, so I think it's awesome. And
they were a good time.
What I loved about it is I hadn't heard Miles. She scares me a little. She might whoop that ass. I think she'll whoop some people's asses.
Yes, she is total badass, and like she took off on a couple of rants, and I was like, "Ooh, that makes me look mild."
Yeah, she doesn't give a fuck. She'll be like, "I want to slaughter you and your children right now for the betterment of human beings." On
the last episode, right, where you're like, men will feel about 5 inches tall. You're going to chase all the men away, and the men are the one who needs to hear it.
Well, no, I said that, and then I listened to the whole thing, and I've been promoting it, so I liked it. Okay. I actually really did like it, and I pushed it on Twitter a bunch because I think that kind of conversation needs to be had for the option to hear that is great.
Well, and I think if we had, I would have had a different conversation around that with you guys, because the podcast audience you have is different. And, after listening to a few episodes of Miles and Crawford, I know they tend to talk more politically. I know they tend to, put more of that stuff out there. So it allows me to have a different conversation for a different audience with a different lens on it.
Yeah, and you'll get you'll get a little bit different with Jody, which is great, to hit a little bit of everybody. But with him,
I'm looking forward to it.
I can't wait. What do you got, babe? What's your...
All right, 3 things your new spouse does better than your ex. Does it just have to be 3? I feel like it's
I feel
everything.
like Tom blows him out
I
of the
could
water
give you
and
a
everything.
Really long list of things.
Yeah.
So Tom is a partner in every sense of the word. Like, there's really nothing that's my job, his job. Like, he doesn't. Everything belongs to everybody, and every responsibility is everybody's. Like, it's not one of those. That's your job. That's my, like, it's not.
Mm-hmm.
The man will grocery shop for, like, he took the grocery shopping off my plate because he knows how much I hate it. Like, grocery shopping makes me really crabby. and he doesn't mind. He just takes it off my plate and he does it. So it's just that whole having a partner thing was very different for me at first. I had to learn to adjust to that. It was weird.
Yeah, it does take some getting used to, doesn't it? It's like, what do you think? I can't do this? You think I can't handle this? At first? Yeah, because Randall is the same way. And
he's like, Rachel, I got it. I'm like, no, it's fine. You don't have to do it. I'll get to it later.
Uh-huh.
He's like, I'm not doing anything. I can do this.
Right.
Well, it's okay, but I don't want you to feel like, he's like, Rachel, like, get a grip. It's fine. Like,
it's exactly how it went down here too. I'm like, no, but you don't have to. Like, I can do everything.
Right. I can do all of it.
I can do all of it because I have been doing all of it.
Yes,
oh, but I don't have to because you want to help me, and it's nice.
And what I've really learned to shift is this idea that he's quote unquote helping me. Like, I've really shifted over to this place of, like, we both live in this house. He's not helping me.
We're helping each other.
He's cleaning up. He's cleaning up after himself.
He's doing his part. Yeah.
Yes. Like, I expect my kids to do some things, right? Like, when they're, he does stuff too. Like, why I always viewed it for a very long time as he was helping me. And he's like, no, it's stuff that has to be done. It's not yours or mine.
Yeah.
I've always said that it's dangerous when you start looking for, like, the 50-50 split. Remember we talked about that on your first episode?
Yeah.
Like, that's so lethal. And the happy people are the ones that get away from that shit. Like, that's so dangerous to even worry about.
We have our normal things that, like, each other does, but
think of it as I think what Rachel's saying is it just should be natural.
It is,
and you're helping not because you need to get to your number of 50.
No, but
you're just doing it because you live together,
and because shit, like, whatever needs to be done, and if that person isn't around to do it, then just do it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, like, Tom tends to mow the grass. Doesn't mean I can't, and doesn't mean that if it really needs to be done that I won't do it. Like, doesn't mean it's his job.
Yeah, I cut the grass so Brooke doesn't die. I know she can do it, but she's so accident prone that
our yard is just, it's not like your typical, it's not a flat
it has
grass.
Oh, yeah.
It's a forest terrain.
It's an ecosystem.
It's a dangerous environment.
It
is. There's snakes and... Yeah.
Well, I'm interested in this question myself.
Well, hold on. I didn't give you 3. Let me.
Oh, you're right. Well,
or somebody jumps back at you and says, "Wait, Rachel didn't answer the question."
I know. I just assumed it was everything.
The other thing he does really well, he's the best gift giver I've ever known in my life.
Oh.
He gives
me and Tom
the
are brothers.
best presents. And he gives them just randomly and sporadically, like when you don't. Like, I was having a really rough adjustment to being back in classes at the beginning of the semester. And I come home and he's asleep, and on my pillow is a card and candy. And he's like, just remember that I love you. Remember that you've got this. It's one more year of this, and, hold the vision, trust the process, which is my major mantra all the time. And I was like, God, I love him.
Uh-huh.
Like, he's just, and it's always not, he does great birthday gifts and Christmas presents and stuff like that, but
when it
a
really
lot of
matters,
it's just little things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you could be having the shittiest day ever, and something like that, you're like, I love my life. I'm very lucky.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to toot my own horn and Tom's right here because, for one, I respect the shit out of that about Tom because I take pride in that same thing.
I could have done it for you, babe.
But no, what I'm saying is I think the best gift I've ever given you isn't really even a gift. It was the time when you were going to get your name changed, and I left you a bunch of deviled eggs because I'd made them for our work function, and I know how much you like deviled eggs, and so I left them in a platter with a note that said, "These are for you.
Yeah,
have fun at the DMV."
Yeah, well, yeah.
Man, I got laid that night. Like a rascal.
Well, you were like, because I had to rush home and like do
Yeah,
something. I had to get like all my paperwork and shit because I was like taking a half day off work. And you're like, I didn't want you to be hungry while you had to wait to get all your stuff done. Yeah.
Winner.
Yeah, no, you're an excellent gift giver and very thoughtful too, and I'm not.
Well, what's number 3 for Tom?
So number 3, he's a really involved parent. He, he pays attention to what's going on. He really, checks in with the kids. He really works hard to be a part of their life while respecting the fact that he's not quote unquote their dad. But he's done a really amazing job of being a parent, like in figuring out what that looks like for him and for his relationship with my kids. And it's been a really amazing thing to watch. I think sometimes he underestimates how impactful he's been for them. But Mason's really good at reminding him.
That's
it's like, no, like this is like, I'm super thankful for Tom. He's a really great stepdad. And, but he's very intentional even around the way he participates in parenting with the kids. It's something I'm so grateful for. Like he's really good with them.
Well, I got to toot Brooks on that because
see, you should.
I've always said that, I haven't experienced being a step parent, but when me and Brooke got together and then she became a step parent of my oldest, I kind of saw the value in just how powerful that position can be. Like to me, it can be stronger than the parent or because if it's done right, it's a very special role.
Yeah.
That can be
definitely. That
can be told things that maybe you don't want to tell mom or dad, and it can be a friend. It can also be a role model. It can be a parent. It's just, but it also has to be handled delicately.
Yeah.
And, I don't want to get like all mushy or emotional, but I remember telling Brooke that, it was just one of the more, beautiful things I'd ever seen to watch that relationship with her and Griffin.
Yeah.
It's, especially when it happens naturally. Brooke never pressured Griffin. She's been fantastic. Yeah. There was never any expectation, and I've seen that handled poorly, and that's not judging the people that did it, but the step parents that do a great job, to me, that definitely need to be applauded. It is a very, very tough and special job.
It's a tough job,
especially when he was 7 when he started coming here, so he's a little boy, and he has a mom that he has a great relationship with. So like it's a very delicate balance of like, I'm not trying to be your mom. You have a mom, and I respect that, but I won't, I want you to know that I'm also here for you, and I care about you and love you, and it's
Yeah, but you can't force it is the thing. You see step parents that want to. And usually I think it comes from a good place. Like they just want to assert, hey, you're going to respect me.
Right. Well, I don't have a real aggressive personality.
But I think it's dangerous if you get too much like that early on, especially with a younger kid. Because like you're saying, Griffin was 7 or whatever.
And Mason was 12, almost 13 when Tom came around. And that was a tough age to come in on. McLaren was younger and much more accepting initially, and then she got to the teenage phase and she gave a little pushback, and
thankfully Griffin's
it's such a long game that you have to play.
Yeah, exactly. It's a long game because there wasn't a need to and I think we might have talked about this before too, where
we
it's
did
like
talk about it, I think once
before, or it's like I knew that I wasn't trying to push anything, just trying to make it as natural as possible, not put any pressure on him, because I'm going to be in his life for the rest of my life. And so, and I mean, luckily he's a boy, so the older he gets, it's not like I have no idea what it would be like to be a step parent to or stepmom to a girl going into teenage years. And I mean, and then you're not I can't even imagine, but Griffin, he's 13 now, and boys tend to be easier as they get into their teenage years. And he's always been pretty easy. He's such a good kid. And so he made it easy for me because he's such a sweetheart. And so, Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome. All right. Well, this one is pretty straightforward. Rachel, has a patient ever come on to you?
Oh.
No.
Oh.
Ooh,
That's surprising.
that is surprising.
There's a lot.
And I'm happy because that would
Yeah,
be weird.
That's pleasantly surprising. There's a lot of creeps in the world, and I.
Well, and I think that's always sort of that's the thing you see on television about therapists. That's the thing, like when they're training therapists, there's always this conversation about, that may happen. This is sort of like discussions around how do you handle things like that. Like ethical rule number 1 is never sleep with your patients, like all that kind of stuff. Like
That's rule number 1.
All
That
the
should
time,
be rule number 1.
everywhere.
That would
I know,
ruin
but
all
I'm saying
credibility.
that should be a given.
Oh,
like,
sure. Yeah, I get
No,
what you're saying.
you think that
Right.
it's not a given.
Oh
like
my God.
it's a serious thing. It's
Yeah.
a problem. But no, I have not had anyone. I remember back one time when during supervision, I had a supervisor say to me once, I think she thought one of my teenage clients had a crush on me. And that threw me for a little bit, mostly because the client was the same age as my kids. And I was like, what are you talking about?
No.
And I said something to Mason about it. And he goes, well, Mom, didn't you assume like all your male teenage clients had a crush on you? And I was like, no. He's like, Mom, because I have a major crush on my therapist. Like, don't you know that? I said, well, yeah, I know that, but I didn't think anything about it. He's like, Mom.
Oh. And I mean, you might not have been outwardly hit on by like adult patients, I would think, because part of it might be because you probably exude that kind of like, you're not going to fucking, that's not what you're here for.
Right. I don't think I do. And it's not to say that, like, the thing about a therapeutic relationship is it's really intimate. People share their whole lives with you.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's a total fine line.
Yeah, it's really intimate. And so, if anyone has had those feelings for me, I've missed them. Mm-hmm. But I do a lot of couples work too, and so sometimes that changes the dynamic. I also wear a wedding ring, so I'm not. It's not like it's not known that I'm married, but that doesn't stop people either. So I'm sure it's probably at some point something I will have to deal with. But as of this point in my career, no. I had, and I don't know if it's because people have respect for the therapeutic relationship, or if it's just, I don't know, maybe you're right. Maybe it's something that I sort of put into the space that doesn't allow for it. I don't know.
Well, because I found that I get, not that I go anywhere really to get hit on, but being in a solid, happy relationship where like I have zero interest in inviting any of that shit in to like just my personal space, like I don't get hit on anymore. I think I just might project some kind of attitude like, don't fucking talk to me because I don't want it.
My kids tell me I'm oblivious. Like they tell me that I have no idea what's happening. And I'm like, what are you talking about? So if we would go to the grocery store or something, Mason would walk a couple steps behind me and stare down people who would check me out, because he'd be like, Mom, how do you not notice that people are staring at you? I'm like, because I'm not paying any attention because I don't care.
Yeah.
He's like,
that's
Mom,
probably more the case for me.
I was in Washington, D.C. in the spring, and I had to go through security because I was in one of the federal buildings, and the guy's just like all chit-chatty and like whatever. And it took me like 5 to 10 minutes into this conversation to realize he was hitting on me. I was like, oh, wait, that's what that was.
And you're just being friendly. Yeah, that would be me too, probably. Like,
yeah, I had no idea. So my apologies to anyone who actually has hit on me and I don't know.
Yeah.
I was clueless.
What do you got, babe?
I don't know. You handed me a couple. Okay, here's an easy one. Toilet paper hung over or under?
I'm going to make some people crazy. I don't pay any attention. I just stick it on the roll.
Holy shit.
I can't even tell.
You're an animal.
I know. I don't even care.
What is that like?
Stick it on there.
What is that like?
Brooke will murder.
I hate being this OCD about shit like that. Like I don't get mad about it. I just change it.
No, but you made me become cognizant of it. I was like Rachel for most of my life.
Most of my life I was too. This is a very recent, like within the last 10 years kind of thing.
What does that say about her, Rachel?
What
is
happened?
Damage?
What happened?
I'm not going to attempt to analyze Brooke right now.
I don't think you want to get into this.
The toilet. What does the
universe.
Toilet paper represent in the uniformity?
I think like there's a lot of my OCD shit went through the roof. I think after I got divorced and in between like being with Randall and my ex-husband, like a lot of shit went through the fucking roof. And it hasn't really, I mean, it's normalized to where like it's not bothersome, but
it's there.
It's there. It exists.
That's the nicest way Randall can come up with
I
to be
know.
like,
He's got,
yes.
No, we both have our things for sure.
He's got his too. Yeah.
Everybody's got their things.
Oh, everybody's got their things.
All right. So, I like this one. Can you ever forgive anyone who puts ketchup on a hot dog?
Huh? What's wrong with that?
It's a Chicago thing.
Yes.
So I'm about to ruin my Chicagoite status here and tell you that I put ketchup on hot dogs.
There you go.
You just destroyed Dr. Muddington because that was a Dr. Muddington question.
Now, here's what I will say. When I go to the ballpark, I do not put ketchup on my hot dogs.
Because you don't want to get lynched.
Yeah, you might be killed.
But it's because ballpark hot dogs taste better, and then I do mustard and relish. But at home, I just do ketchup.
Wow, that is a drastic difference.
I know.
Hey, I respect the honesty, though. At the end of the day, bring in the heat. Don't just lie and pretend that you're mustard only.
And so, like, why not? I mean, I know they have all the, like...
It's a sin in Chicago to put anything but mustard as a condiment on your hot dog.
I mean, I love me some mustard, so I'm not mad at them for that, honestly.
Well, there's also... Usually they put, like, onions and tomatoes and like a Chicago-style hot dog. I'm not a fan of a Chicago-style hot dog.
It's a lot of shit on there, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, it's kind of like a Bloody Mary on a dog.
Yeah, that sounds awesome to me. Of course, it'd have to be like a chicken turkey dog for me, and that's probably a sin in Chicago too. So
yeah, she doesn't.
There's a lot of hippies though up there, like hipsters. So maybe.
What do you got?
But not at the ballpark.
Not at the ballpark. Yeah.
What's your next one, Dad?
Okay. Have you ever felt shamed by other women because of your sexual openness, or are they just jealous prudes?
Oh.
Especially during your sex toys time, I bet that had to be a...
Yeah, there's some... People make a lot of assumptions about me and my sex life and my sexuality in general because I will talk so openly and I sell sex toys and I write about sex and I don't have a whole lot of hang-ups about that stuff. Yeah, there are some people who have, taken some issue with that. I would say there have been attempts to maybe shame me around that. That's not been successful.
Okay. Yeah, you're just going to be like,
it's not
kick
really
rocks.
something like, because what I know is that that's not about me. Mm-hmm. Like, I've made you uncomfortable and I get that. And that's about you, not me.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So that I don't take that, even though it may have been attempted a time or two. And I don't know that I would say jealousy is part of it as much as maybe envy is a better word, where somehow I've managed to take that piece and be like, no, I'm not going to be restricted in this area. I'm not going to follow the quote unquote social norms and guidelines about what is and isn't acceptable to talk about. And in some ways that's really freeing. And I think sometimes maybe people envy that freedom that they may not have. But that's not been something that's come at me overtly.
All right.
Most people, if they're coming to me, it's they want to know something, or they have concerns and they just have questions.
Well, how about this one? I'm going to pile a second one on while Brooke's getting ready for hers. Have you ever put butter on a Pop-Tart? It really is delicious.
What kind of Pop-Tart?
I don't know. I've never
I
done
don't
that.
eat Pop-Tarts. Why would you eat Pop-Tarts? Don't tell my child that. McLaren eats Pop-Tarts like almost daily, but
I used to.
I don't eat Pop-Tarts.
I did
No.
forever. It was the brown sugar and cinnamon was my fucking jam for like my whole life. And then when I was pregnant, I used to, what was it? The peanut butter and chocolate ones.
Yeah, like the s'mores ones.
Well,
and
the s'mores is marshmallow and chocolate. Those and the like. There's like a Reese's peanut butter cup Pop-Tart. I mean, it's candy for breakfast essentially. But
Yeah, see, but I'm way much more of a toaster strudel girl.
Amen.
Opposite.
Me and you are best friends.
No.
This is crazy, Rachel, because
Toaster strudels.
Yuck.
I buy those, and I like the blueberry the best. I buy those
See, I like
and
the
eat them at
raspberry,
all
but
times.
blueberry's good.
I like the raspberry. I can fuck with that. I can do
Yeah.
any
Yeah.
toaster strudel.
no, none
Oh
of
yeah, I can do any of them. The toaster strudels are amazing.
Wow, we're best friends now. All right, babe, cue up the
Yes,
best
we are.
question that we've got.
Okay, all
First
right.
player,
Huh?
read it and then play the clip. Don't answer till you hear the clip, Rachel.
Okay. Yeah, this one has an audio
boy.
portion. What are your feelings about Spandau Ballet? And here, let me, in case you don't know, I always forget until I hear the fucking song.
They're amazing, if you want my opinion.
All right. This guy's face, like,
Do you know this song, Rachel?
he's such a white guy.
Oh yeah, I know this.
Oh, God, I forgot this video. Fuck, it's so funny.
From The Wedding Singer,
It's
too.
so 80s. This video, you can't get any more 80s than this. It's like 3 white guys in like 3-piece suits with like tails on their jackets and like,
But it's just total nostalgia.
yes,
Like,
feathered hair.
oh yeah, bad '80s feathered hair.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't get any better than that,
No.
right? Like,
And one guy's got a saxophone and but not playing it, just holding it and dancing.
because everything was a prop, right? Everything.
Yes.
It's a great song. It's total nostalgia. You can't hate on it.
No, it's fantastic. All right, so how talked about this before we started recording. How well do you sleep? Must ask, as she says, more sleep, better sex.
So, is the question more about like my actual sleep habits, or
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, but like, it's like a question and then like an insinuation of like, if you're not sleeping as well, you must not be having better sex. I don't know.
Am I getting enough sleep? So what my sex life is
Right.
I'm a grad student. I promise you, I don't get nearly enough sleep. I have an autoimmune disorder called rheumatoid arthritis, and I have a secondary one that nobody's ever heard of, which means that sort of that exhaustion piece that's almost, what's the word I'm looking for? Like chronic fatigue syndrome. So I don't, like, even when I get a lot of sleep, it doesn't necessarily mean I feel like I've gotten a lot of sleep. So that can
sucks.
impact things. But I'm someone who I like to sleep in the morning. Like, I don't like getting out of bed, and school forces me to get out of bed in the morning, which makes my whole sleep schedule not the way that I like it.
Yeah.
But I'm a better person, and people like me more when I get enough sleep. So I try to be very careful about how much sleep I can get. Because if I don't get enough sleep, it's not usually good for anybody. So I tend to go to bed by
Truth.
11 o'clock at night. And, unfortunately, a lot of days I'm up by 5:30, 6 o'clock. But
Well, that's the same here, except a lot of times I don't get to bed till 11:30 or so. And then I get up at 5:30, and Randall's like, "You went to bed at 8 o'clock last night." And I'm like, that's false.
I say that because I went to bed 30 minutes before. I finally got to sleep 30 minutes before the
Yeah,
alarm
he's
went
just
off.
mad because when we turned off the TV at 11:30, I went to sleep and he didn't. But I didn't know you had rheumatoid arthritis. My sister has rheumatoid
Yeah.
arthritis.
Yep, I've been pretty lucky. My pain is managed really well by minimal drugs.
She gets
so I've
shitloads
been-
of drugs.
Yeah,
Sucks.
I've been really lucky because I know a lot of people's rheumatoid arthritis doesn't respond to medication as well as mine has. So most of the time I get to pretend like there's nothing really wrong. I can fake it.
Do you get
almost
like
all the time.
infusions and stuff? Do you get infusions for it?
I've not had to, no.
Oh, yeah.
I just have pill form and I take it once a week. For the rheumatoid, I just have, I take methotrexate once a week for
that sounds
and
very
it's still
familiar.
In pill form.
Yeah. That sounds
Yeah, which for
familiar.
me is pretty lucky because I know a lot of people who have infusions. They've tried 4 or 5 different drugs that haven't worked.
Well, yeah, my sister she's had it since I think after her second child, so 16 years, and she was getting infusions that worked really, really well, like every 6 weeks. It was in check. And then she got cancer, and then after she went through all her breast cancer surgeries and treatments, they were like, hey, by the way, that other rheumatoid arthritis stuff you were getting is known to cause some kind of cancer, so you can't get that anymore. Sorry. And so she was like, what the fuck? So now she, like, after being, free of cancer, she was in pain from her rheumatoid arthritis. So she has a different infusion that she gets now, like every 6 weeks, but it's not as good. And she's always like, when it's the like a week or so leading up to it, like it's, I can see it in her, like she's like, I can just tell that like her hands are bothering her and like it sucks. So yeah, she's going to go big when she gets shit. Like she got everything health wise that, yeah. So
yeah, I've been pretty lucky. Mine's responded really, really well. I don't have massive flare-ups, which when I first came down with it, like I couldn't drive for a while. I could barely walk. My feet were part of the problem. I couldn't lift my shoulders. And so when the drugs kicked in and I was like, oh my God, I feel like a normal person. So now even if I get achy and I have a rough day, it's mostly just like the fatigue portion of it that comes in. Almost like you have the flu a little bit.
Oh, fuck that feeling. Yeah.
But it's way better than like it was for about 6 to 9 months. I was in so much pain. I had no idea what was happening, and I didn't have insurance at the time. So, that was awful. So I couldn't do anything. And I was pretty sure I knew what it was. Which is why I'm like, they're going to just send me to a bunch of specialists and give me really expensive medication, and I don't have insurance, so this is not going to work.
Yeah, it's either going to be that or like lupus, because I think that was the other, like when she was getting diagnosed, it was like, well, it might be rheumatoid, because the symptoms are all very similar, and it was like she could have rheumatoid arthritis, which is like, long-term treatable, or lupus that is like, you could freaking die from it.
One of my best friends has had lupus for like 20 years now.
Oh, Jesus.
And it's been awful. It's such a horrible thing. And so for me, I'm like, I have rheumatoid arthritis, and yes, it impacts my life, but I know so many people who struggle with it in ways that I've never had to. So I sort of take I'm super grateful that mine's been manageable at this point, and I'm going to run with that as long as I can. Yeah. But between that and like grad school and work, and I have a husband and a child and a house, sometimes sleep is sacrificed for that.
Gosh, well, you're lucky it hadn't like made it worse then, and you've kind of been able to maintain it. That's good. But yes, sleep
Tom's
is
pretty good about that. Like he will look at me and be like, you've got too much on your plate this week. He's like, you need to, or if like, he'll say, oh, we were going to make plans to go out on Friday night. And he's like, yeah, look at the week. We need to stay home tonight. We need to not do that. So he's really good about, managing that when I would just plow through. He's like, let's stay home. You should take a nap.
I'll do that with sometimes
yeah, Brooke started doing that with me for sure.
Oh, especially after your nose surgery that you were.
Yes. That shit was the worst.
That was brutal. That was not a easy recovery, babe.
All right. Well, Rachel, I've got 2 questions in one. The first one, this is burning question. What do you think of my hand tattoo? Have you seen it? The picture of it?
I did see it. It looked really painful.
That's what I said. Yeah.
I couldn't get past why would you put it there? It looks so painful.
Because that's what everyone thinks.
It looks real crunchy right now, babe.
It's healing up.
It looks like when a snake sheds its skin. That's what his hand looks like.
Yeah, I'm telling you what. It was a brutal. The second he hit my hand with the needle, I was like, I was totally wrong about this. I thought this wasn't going to be too bad.
It's a bad idea.
I'm in agony.
That's why I won't go. See, this is the problem. This is why I won't go get a tattoo, because at the end of the day, I'm a big baby. And they would hit me with that needle, and I'd be like, nope, we're not going to finish this. See you later.
And they all hurt. Even the places that are least painful it still hurts, like on your
I have
your
enough
arms
pain
and
in
stuff,
my body naturally. I don't need people sticking me with more stuff.
No, that's how I'm getting. And Brooke, tattoos don't really bother. She sits like a log. I mean, I have to like
more power to you.
Talk to the artist to keep my mind off of it. I have to tell them, hey, I'm fixing to get up and walk out, so you need to distract me.
Yep.
Or I'm going to Hulk out and rip this whole place apart.
Oh, I like play games on my phone.
All right, the second part of the question. What does the Bible mean to Rachel Miller? Or Rachel McFeely, whichever one you...
Rachel Miller McFeely.
Yeah, either one of those.
It's a book. It's a story. It doesn't really... I mean, I was brought up in a church with the Bible being more used. I'll call it was more weaponized than anything else.
Are you Catholic?
And that was more about religion than the Bible. Do I know the Bible? Have I read the Bible? Yes. Is it something I do on the regular? No, and probably never will. But I know a lot of people find comfort in it and find lots of meaning in it, and I'm super happy for them. But for me, it's not really something. It's just a book.
Were you raised Irish Catholic or Catholic?
No, my family's Dutch, and I was raised in the Dutch Christian Reformed Church. So that's a slightly different.
You said weaponized.
Tom was
and
raised
I'm
Catholic, but
okay. I just think of all the guilt with the Catholicism. That's all.
Yeah, no, I do not carry guilt around that. My family a lot of my family is still very, very religious. They're very involved in the church, and that's just not my thing.
I hear you.
Booyah.
Yeah.
What one do you got, babe?
I don't know, you handed me a couple over here. Some of the grammar on these is appalling, by the way.
I didn't write any of them.
Glad you're reading them.
I'm trying to fix them as I read them, but yeah. I'm hoping these were copy-paste situations.
They were.
Yeah.
Every single one of them.
What is the most common reason a patient of yours comes to see you?
I wish I had something common, actually. I don't know that I do. I mean, I've seen clients for loss and grief. I've seen clients for infidelity. I've seen clients for self-harm. I've seen clients who are having trouble transitioning into adulthood.
Failure to launch.
I did have a run for a little while where I felt like I was seeing, and I think we may have touched on this during the masculinity episode, where I ended up for whatever reason, I ended up with several clients in a row that were individual men who were really struggling around emotions and just really feeling out of touch with their emotions and not really having access to those. But yeah, it's like every couple is different, though a lot of couples come in and tell me they have communication problems, quote unquote. It's almost never communication problems, but
really, because I would think that would. I mean, that's
what everybody calls it. Yeah, we just, we want to communicate better. I'm like, it's not really about communication; it's about connection. But that's okay. We'll figure that out. So yeah, I can't say that I have one. I work with with some domestic violence survivors. I've worked with a lot of teenagers around self-esteem. So I don't have which is part of why I think people have asked if I would specifically focus on sex therapy, and part of why I may get the certification at some point just because it makes sense to have it, but not really because I want to solely focus on sex therapy, because I really like the variety that I get in my office. It keeps me on my toes, and it keeps life interesting, and it reminds me that in lots of ways, so many of the problems people present with have a lot of similarities.
Well, how about this, though? Do you think antidepressants actually work?
Oh.
I think they have a role. I think they have a place to play. I think they are sometimes overprescribed and not prescribed by the doctors they should be. I do struggle with having family physicians diagnosing psychiatric issues when I think some of those should really be handled by a psychiatrist. And a lot of times family doctors, and this isn't all clearly, but a lot of, family practitioners will give a prescription for an antidepressant and not recommend that you get therapy with that.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes, a lot of times, an antidepressant just isn't the entire solution. But if I've got a client who's really struggling and we're not sort of making any major breakthroughs because we can't even get them motivated. We can barely get them motivated enough to come to therapy, let alone do some of the work that comes with that. Yeah, I don't have an objection at that point to involving either an anti-anxiety or an antidepressant. I think they can serve a purpose, and I think they can be really beneficial for people who really need them.
Yeah, I mean, I've been on multiple over my lifetime, and my biggest problem with them, and I haven't been on all of them, but the ones I have is, for one, a family doctor has usually written the prescription for me, and now that I see my psychiatrist, she gets livid about that shit. And just like you, she'll get real pissed. The second part is I think family doctors don't explain to patients well enough that get on an antidepressant that there's a ramping off period. And if you don't ramp off properly, that's when people get horrible thoughts. I mean, I've had friends that have, committed suicide, and the only link that people could find was they were, or not committed suicide, they died
by suicide. Nice job.
And that was Brooke.
Good catch, Brooke. Nice.
But the only link they could find is they were trying to get off their antidepressants.
Yeah, they're not something you can just drop cold turkey, and there's not enough of a conversation around what it means to be on them, how you need to take them, how long.
It's altering your brain chemistry.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't understand that it's not going to. A lot of times antidepressants aren't going to take you from feeling really low to feeling really happy. Some of these are more stabilizers, where what it means is your ups and downs might not be so drastic. Maybe you go from being really low to being okay, which is better and maybe helpful. But to believe that they're going to go from I'm really sad and I don't know how to come out of this to, my life's great. That's not really always how they work either.
No, you're right. And I mean, I've seen people that their reaction to, or a family member will notice that they're just kind of in the middle ground. They don't really get happy or sad. Like it can be, that itself can be a bad state. They just don't feel anything.
Right. So, I've seen a lot of that too.
So me personally, from the ones I've been on, I don't like the way they make me feel, but I know what you're saying, that some people that they help. Yeah.
And I think you need to be really clear with the doctors that you're working with, get good information, have a good relationship with them so that you can talk to them if it doesn't feel like it's working, and get a therapist on top of that. Because that's the person who's going to see you more consistently than your doctor, and they're going to be able to help you monitor as to whether or not that's really working well. They're going to see you more regularly. That's going to allow for, okay, we've been on this medication for 4 or 5 weeks now. How are you feel? Like, we can check in about that differently than your family physician will.
Well, that's that. I agree with all that.
Yeah. Why did John just get up and stand next to you and then go back?
His breath is so bad I can smell it from here.
No. Aww. Why did he get up and we brought his bed out here so he wouldn't be clickety clacking all around.
Because I stood up.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that makes sense.
He thought y'all were going to bed.
Yeah. He's like, you tricked me. I saw John just standing up. And then he just went back and laid down in his bed.
He knows either the big guy's going for a snack or we're going to bed. So
Randall doesn't get up and move around much in the house.
Unless there's a reason.
Unless there's a good reason, and food is usually involved.
He was really hoping for a snack. Was what he was hoping for.
Well, speaking of the food.
Oh, yeah. So this is are these two the last two? These are some good ones. And that one is worded horribly. It had to be
It is absolutely worded terribly.
I'm really... Okay. And this could really be polarizing here, Rachel. What is your favorite place to eat in Chicago?
Deep.
That depends. Let's see.
It better be Chicago-y.
See, that's the problem. It's not really. Like, I mean...
It's going to be like Mexican.
If I'm going to go downtown and I want pizza, I'm going to go to Lou Malnati's. But a lot of times when I'm downtown, Tom and I'll do seafood. So I really like GT Fish and Oyster. And I'm... where else have we gone recently that I really liked? Catch 35 is pretty good. It just depends on what I want, like what I'm in the mood for, as to like as far as my favorite. But if we're talking Chicago-y, well then I'm gonna go Lou Malnati's. But GT Fish and Oyster is one that we hit pretty regularly.
So we kind of talked on this. I don't know if it's your favorite, but if it is, we'll just go with that because it's solid. What is your favorite junk food? Because we talked about the strudels or the paste. The
toaster strudels.
I love those fucking things.
That's too broad. I need you to like be specific because I have favorites of like certain things. I love cheesecake.
Oh my God, I love cheesecake. Brooke's not a huge cheesecake fan.
It makes my teeth hurt.
I love the shit.
If it's really good cheesecake that's not too sugary, I guess.
You're a tiramisu dessert lady.
Well, tiramisu is my favorite. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm a cheesecake. Magnolia Bakery downtown in Block 37 has amazing little, almost a little bit bigger than a cupcake size cheesecake, and I love those. They're
I would eat 1,000 of those if they're just little cupcakes.
And I'll be like, I need 6 dozen.
No, I'll buy the Sara Lee ones, Rachel, that are frozen, and eat the whole thing one night. Like, no shit.
Oh,
yeah. See, I'm more like the...
when he's being really sweet, he'll bring home like you can get like the Eli's cheesecake sampler from the store. He'll like bring it home. I'm like, don't do that. Like, I'm gonna gain 50 pounds this week from just eating the cheesecake that's in the fridge.
Oh, I know. Yeah, Randall will do that. Like, cause my like kryptonite, I fucking love like the like chocolate cookie pie thing.
Oreo
so like
cookie
there's
pies.
this like frozen like pie thing you can get from the store that's basically just chocolate on whipped cream, and it's got like Oreo cookie crust stuff. I'll eat the whole.
You go.
I'll eat the whole fucking thing.
You and Griffin will fight to the death to finish that thing off.
Holy shit, it's so good. But I'm like, when I'm trying to be really good, like on my diet, and then Randall will walk in the door with that, I'm like, well, fuck me then. Jeez.
You're like, yeah, that's just going.
Right, because I'm like, I'm not going to not eat it. Yeah.
Yeah, one of my really good friends, she always knows, like, if I'm having, like, a totally shitty week, she's like, I'm going to go get some cheesecake. I'm like, this is why you're one of my favorite people in the world.
That's a good friend.
Exactly.
All right, so what we need to do, let's go ahead and decide now what next month's topic's going to be, back to real topics.
Okay.
What you want, is there anything in particular you want to go?
I don't know. I feel like we've done the major things.
I know.
You know what? What if we do questions about family interactions for the holidays?
Oh, that's
That could be
good
lovely.
one.
Like, do you have questions about, like, because everybody's going to be doing Thanksgiving followed by Christmas. Are there concerns about family parties, family, any of that stuff around the
family
holidays?
gatherings?
Oh, we'll be right in the prime of that when people are preparing to head to.
It's going to be right before Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right before that week. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Family relation. Okay.
Yeah. How do you handle family stress during the holidays? How do you handle difficult family relationships during the holidays? Whatever questions you have that might fall into that realm, I think that might be fun.
Yeah, I like that.
I love it. It's a little. It's different enough to be new and a totally different topic. Me likey.
Cool.
And it's time.
And look at us.
Appropriate.
Done
Yeah.
at 9:30.
Woohoo,
Well, yeah,
I know.
and we've got we do have to plug that Rachel will be going on Po Boys podcast.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's coming up.
When are y'all are recording this weekend? So it'll be
We're
next
recording
week.
this weekend. Yep.
Yep.
And if you haven't downloaded Rachel on Miles and Crawford, go check that shit out.
That is
Epic.
good. Hang on, I was
Well, it's
looking
the
at.
thing I said. It's strong women with strong opinions using strong language. Just prepare yourself.
Yeah, I wanna have see if Miles will come on sometime on our show, her and Crawford or however. But I'm a big fan.
November
Yeah, they're
19th.
a good time.
November 19th. All right, November 19th.
That is literally the Monday before Thanksgiving.
Beautiful.
Perfect timing.
Yep.
Beautifulness.
Nice.
All right.
All right, so that got our plugs and everything. Everybody make sure you go out there and vote for round 1 of Guest of the Year. Right now it looks like Blunt Mommy's still winning.
Yeah, she's coming away with the lead.
Yeah, she did offer to send nudes to everyone that will vote for her on Twitter, which is a little unfair.
Totally fair voting practices.
I know. This
Yeah.
is a democracy on Twitter.
Yep, and that shows you how easily men can be
All of a sudden, she's
free
in the
nudes,
lead.
boom, by thousands. It's like wild. It's going to be a landslide.
The rest of them better step up their game.
Yeah,
I know. I just messaged Larry and said, when are you going to offer nudes for votes in the poll?
nobody wants to see Larry nude. I mean, as much as nobody wants to see me, Larry, Brian.
I want to see you nude.
Well, you're my wife, and you're going to see me nude in about 15 minutes.
Whether you want to or not.
Yep, you're going to take it. Well, all right, Rachel. Well, we'll let you out of here, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Sounds good. Bye, guys.
Bye. Baby, you gotta... You just going to leave everybody hanging?
Sorry about that. A momentary lapse in judgment. I'm going to be honest. It's because I'm so hungry for another hot dog that I made for dinner.
And you're going to put ketchup on it.
Yeah, but you fuck faces, fuck yourselves really good.
And fuck it good.
And we're out.